This video is about minstrels in Lord of the Rings Online, or LOTRO. Minstrels have a variety of abilities that can work together, and the goal of this video is to show you how to do so effectively. Ballads. Minstrels have 3 ballads: minor ballad, major ballad, and perfect ballad. In dissonance and melody stances, these are all single target attacks that also give the minstrel a buff. In resonance stance, major ballad turns into a group heal plus a self buff. All of the ballads give the same general buffs while they are active. Increasing tactical damage of all ballads, codas, and cries, reduced power cost of all non-anthem skills, and increased outgoing healing. The only difference is how much each ballad gives you. Minor ballad is best for damage, major ballad is best for outgoing healing, and perfect ballad is best for reduced power cost. At any time, you can have the benefit of 3 ballad buffs. They can be all the same ballad, one of each, or some other combination. A warrior skald, or red line, minstrel, focusing on damage benefits most from having 3 minor ballads active, which provides a total of plus 9% tactical damage to all ballads, codas, and cries, minus 3% power cost to all non-anthem skills, and plus 3% healing to outgoing healing. Anthems. Minstrels have more powerful buffs called anthems. Depending on your specialization, you will have access to some of the available anthems. Common redline builds give access to Anthem of War, Anthem of the Third Age, and Anthem of Composure. Anthems can only be used once the minstrel has 3 ballad buffs present. Because of their power, try to have your anthems active as much as possible. While they can start out lasting only 60 seconds, the Protector of Song trait Extended Anthems, found in the yellow line, can add up to 50 seconds to your anthem durations, and the Legacy Item Weapon Legacy Anthem Duration can add another 5 seconds for a total duration of 115 seconds. Coda. Your coda is a strong finishing move with an ability keyed to your stance. Dissonant Stance has Coda of Fury, which does a strong single target attack and increases the outgoing damage of your nearby fellowship members by 5% for 30 seconds. Melody Stance has Coda of Melody, which does an area effect attack, a group heal, and increases nearby fellowship members' block, parry, and evade chance by 2.5% for 30 seconds. Resonance Stance has Coda of Resonance, which does a strong single target heal and increases incoming healing of your nearby fellowship members by 5% for 30 seconds. The downside of the coda is that it removes all ballad buffs from the minstrel. As a warrior skald minstrel using minor ballads, that means you lose the plus 9% tactical damage to all ballads, codas, and cries until you get your 3 ballad buffs back. Cry of the Chorus. This brings us to Cry of the Chorus. Cry of the Chorus immediately gives you 3 ballad buffs depending on your stance. Dissonant Stance, 3 minor ballads. Melody Stance, 3 perfect ballads. Resonant Stance, 3 major ballads. Cry of the Chorus starts off with a 150-second cooldown, but with the legendary item Songbook Legacy Cry of the Chorus cooldown, the cooldown can be reduced to 30 seconds. Ballad Expiration. By now, you have probably noticed that all ballad descriptions include the text expires if out of combat for 9 seconds. However, this is an incomplete summary of when ballads do and do not expire. For example, Cry of the Chorus gives you 3 ballads even if you have been out of combat for 9 seconds. So let's talk about how ballads work using the Minstrel Buffs with Combat Timer plugin. Let's call entering combat after being out of combat for more than 9 seconds a primary combat. When you leave a primary combat, a 9-second timer starts counting down. When the timer expires, your ballad buffs also expire. Let's call entering combat while the timer is counting down a secondary combat. You must stay in a secondary combat for 5 seconds before it resets the combat timer. That is, if it takes you less than 5 seconds to enter and leave combat, the original timer continues counting down as if you had not entered combat. There is a big exception to this, however. If you are in combat when the current timer expires, it refreshes the timer even if the combat ends in less than 5 seconds. Cry of the Chorus and Resonance Stance Major Ballad start the 9-second timer if the player is not already in combat, there is not already an out-of-combat countdown happening, there is not already a major ballad countdown happening, and there is not already a Cry of the Chorus countdown happening. Entering combat with a Cry of the Chorus countdown active is treated like starting a primary combat. Entering combat with a Resonance Stance Major Ballad countdown active is treated like starting a secondary combat, so you must then stay in combat for 5 seconds to refresh the timer. All of this means that in order to prevent your ballads from expiring as much as possible, you can try some of the following strategies. Attack the next creature just before finishing off the current creature so that it is one continuous combat instead of one primary combat and one secondary combat that might not be long enough. If you're likely to kill a creature in less than 5 seconds, wait until your out-of-combat timer is almost expired before attacking. If the nearest creatures that you are not currently in combat with are out of range, move closer before ending the current combat so you can re-engage within 9 seconds. Of course, this advice is targeted toward landscape play. In an instance, it's best to let whoever is leading the instance set the pace. Note that Cry of the Chorus does not restart the out-of-combat timer. If you use it while the out-of-combat timer is counting down, you run the risk of both losing your ballads and having Cry of the Chorus on cooldown. Once you get your Warsteed, you will get access to a Warsteed Ballad, Anthem, and Coda. You can unlock Song of Unity, the Warsteed version of Cry of the Chorus, with the Song of Unity Yellow Line mounted trait. The out-of-combat timer works the same in Warsteed mode as on foot. I hope this video has helped you understand how basic minstrel skills work and how ballads expire in Lord of the Rings Online. If you have any questions, please comment below.